So, yeah, happy Valentine's Day to those who are celebrating. We are doing two birdies. It's gonna be sitting on the branch with the birch trees. So for birch trees, I planned, we can practice a bit with palette knife, but we can see also small brush works well. I have today a square paper. I don't know, somehow, maybe composition wise, I felt it's better. Before we started sketching, so this is for the background. I'll leave it for a bit later. So what I also suggest, so here I had an example. Let's say I have a bigger tree, then I'll have a branch with birds sitting and others. So it's always good to play a bit, sketching. So before you take your pencil and start making the sketch for painting, it's good just to play a bit around, like with the size. So shall I have, like, how big I want to have my tree? How low I want to have my birdies? Shall they look like this direction? Sure, like for the other. So, but it should be, of course, very tiny, because then you can do it like really quickly. So if you have like some piece of paper next to you, you can leave it, or maybe even someone prefers even bigger zoom, let's say, the even bigger tree, and the birds can be bigger or they can be smaller. Just kind of check. Also how high I want the birds to sit. So this is something like, it's always a good practice to do. And then just can continue. Then sketching on, as usual, on our paper. So yes, where the birds are sitting, I decided the tree is going to be bigger. And then I've also planned to have their like little heart. So then you can then also calculate if you want some letters in it. Like typically like, let's say M plus D. Then you should plan, of course, that you can get in there even with a pen. It doesn't have to be with a brush. Or you can just leave it as if it's some part of the tree that just by chance came out, and then it has the shape. So for doing the trees, of course, not to make them too boring, too straight. Move a bit. So here, let's say I have my branch. And also it's nice when some trees, they kind of, one tree touching another. So maybe like less distance, or one tree is visible halfway behind the other. And then also choose the birdies. I mean, how big they should be. Maybe it also looks sweet if they're small, not too big. And then it's usually, let's say, and then can correct also the branch, move it. So in the chat, I hope you have this bird's picture, but of course you can also use the other one. But those are sweet, as all birdies are. And again, attention, like it happens often. I started to do the birds, And I already almost drawing the eye and everything. So have discipline, and then first still stick to the main shape, the size. So happy, yeah, if the tail is getting in and the head is not too big and so on. And then we continue with the and then, like if you had the birdies, then you can come back to the trees and arrange also a bit more trees, and also like thicker, thinner. Yeah, birch trees, they're also famous to be pretty much thin. So this also. And planning the trees, also remember that the lines. So let's say like here in this my pre-sketch, I have some trees that kind of with its direction, they're pointing a bit to the birdies. So think, do you want to leave the space empty and the trees around, or you want to have some light, so we can have these trees smaller, and with paint we're gonna make them lighter, so they're kind of somewhere there in the background. You don't have to sketch all the small branches, like if there are some, of course, we can do. Yeah. But mainly, of course, now it's the compositional task. Yeah. And then also plan where your heart is going to be. Yeah, and then of course, if you're drawing branches out of the tree, then of course they're thicker at the start. And yeah, then you can also kind of draw like half circle with the area where it's coming out. Okay, somewhere here in my this composition, I have a little emptiness, but it can be also cool. It's as if maybe the light can come out of there. Yeah, so for example, it slowly brings me to the other, let's say, question that you have to decide for yourself. So the mood, yeah, this first sketch I've used just used blue, gray, and white. So in the end, it feels a bit wintry. And I thought, how can I make it maybe a bit more spring? So here, of course, I used yellow and some green, some blue. Here is more green and blue together. Yeah, so I think I will want to go with a bit more warmer. So then we will just play on the palette, see which comes. And another thing I also found that, yeah, probably after winter is good to do this. So I did all these little sketches for the leaves. Yeah, so one can also kind of think, okay, without them, yeah, it feels then wintry, or then we do those and I think it feels nicer. Yeah? So, yeah. Yes. Yeah, and I think I'll try to use, so here on my sketch, yeah, then I have So I have like 2 trees behind, one here. Maybe in the process I will add a bit more, you know, once here with the paint. But here I left a little bit opening. I'll try to sit lighter, so a bit yellowish there, and then we'll see. If it won't work, we can always cover it up with trees and so on. I see. Darren is working on canvas. Is it right? Yay. Okay, then of course I'm giving more time. Yeah, no rush. I know sketching on canvas is a bit harder, of course, due to the size and also erasing. Yeah, that's why in this case, like doing this little paper stuff, of course, is always, yeah, especially if you still kind of trying to figure out your idea of composition, then those are pretty much helpful. And okay, then I also will play a bit more with my sketch, and you just guys give me thumbs up when we continue, and no rush at all. We have all the time that we need. Yeah, so maybe like, you know, if someone's doing on the paper already finished something, can work a bit more, maybe just on doing the planning the little branches. And of course, in the end, it always helps. And so they also like not boring. Yeah, I think in art that's pretty much one of the things we try. Yeah, when we rearrange things in the way. Yeah, art. And later when we will draw the tree, the one that has the heart on, just from the start, I'll try to say, so we try to avoid kind of making a contour out of it. So kind of that, you know, there is like no black line around the heart, but more put some other areas a bit grayish, a bit darkish. So then it's just looks as if it's natural. Yeah, and putting branches, then also remember that some of them you can draw as if they're like just coming from behind the tree. So not all of them have to have this half circle as if, yeah, they're here in front. Do some lines. It's just like the same tree, but from behind. All righty. How it looks on your side, guys. I see everyone concentrated, so good. No rush. And then maybe sketching a bit more birds.
I think we're all but very. I don't know whether we can see that.
Okay, yeah, I see. Yay, nice one. Oh, okay. Yeah, I saw like just from the glimpse, maybe the peaks of the birds, if I don't know if they're too long. Like, yes, this picture with
must be, yeah,
the ones that they're kind of long, but yeah, like later, especially getting in there with the paint.
Yeah.
So just maybe they look.
Yeah, we've got heart on. We're doing a heart on the tree.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yes, don't forget about the heart. Yeah, good Mel, good eye.
He has no romance.
But we will make romance happen. No, I'm just kidding. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's also what about you, Karen, and your 30s? Yay. Yeah, so we're moving slowly to paints then?
Yep.
Cool. Okay. Shall we do then? So as I said, I will go for like warmer, springy feeling. Then of course it's I take yellow, green. Still, I will use probably some white to lighten it up. Yeah, so maybe I don't want too much contrast. Like if in the end I'm going to be putting those leaves, then they will make this a bit bright in contrast. So yeah, can be also blue, maybe light blue in between. So just kind of take those that talk to you, yeah, those the colors, and yeah, because it's also, it can be different. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfectly the same. It can be somewhere a bit lighter, somewhere a bit greenish, somewhere a bit more contrasty. So
What really chose the yellow?
Yeah.
yeah, and what, for example, also I suggest a bit. So here, when I was starting putting the paint, so of course, if you like use little water and enough amount, then it kind of course, stays very thick and untransparent. But I would suggest, so maybe also not everywhere, maybe like upper part, to use a bit more water. So in the end, you use the whiteness of paper or canvas, and then it feels also a bit more like air. No, so somewhere, of course, the strokes can be thicker, so they're like, yeah, but try to use also this transparency. Yeah, and then of course you can always use like before putting paint, mix it, and then we can try them on the separate piece of paper, so it's not.
There's next to the green.
Yeah, so I'm still so not rushing, a bit playing with different greens. Yeah, probably they will be too dark. I'll leave them for later. Will go better for. Yeah, and of course, also when we're putting this like watery paint. Then we have our pencil, it's still there, it's visible. Yeah, and in this moment, I think it's pretty much, you don't really need to be very cautious of what's around, because I mean, of course, if it's not like, try to avoid maybe the trees, but anyway, we're gonna start with a bit grayish for the trees, and then we're gonna put like whiter strokes and darker strokes. Maybe I'll put a bit more. So now I had only yellow and green mixed, and then this white kind of, so to make it lighter. Now I'm gonna try to get in a bit with maybe bluish. Maybe so a bit like this sky feeling.
Okay. No, she's found.
Yeah, no, a bit too much, a bit too much. So I need white.
Just put my heart in the sky.
Okay, these ones we can even compare, yeah. So I had this grayish blue and now totally yellow green. So then, yeah, well, it'll be summer soon.
Really?
Yeah, so just pretty much watery for the background. Yeah, because the thing is that, like, when you catch this the right color that you want, and you know, not too dark, then it really looks cool on, yeah, on white canvas, exactly of this whiteness. But then if you say you've mistaken and you need to correct it, then like the next layers you will already lose this airiness. Yeah, so let's say here in one spot I've put too much blue straight away. Then I said, yeah, I've tried to put it white. And then of course Yeah, you also need to wait, correct it again, and then it's not that, you know, smoothly clean, transparent, and airy. But anyway, somehow it looks there. Maybe I try to do a bit more of this whiteness on top. A bit blue. Yeah, and again, also not overdoing, not making it all feeling too tired, and yeah, in the end, like we will have the accents in as trees and birds and. All right. So for those who are slowly getting ready with background, then I suggest we do the trees. And as I said, that it's good to put just like gray color first. So then again, usually it's not, you know, among ready ones. So then you just put a pile of white, and there's usually then tiny bit of black. So our aim is gray color. I'll try to do both. I have here one I found in a shop, but it's a bit more bluish. It's called Wedgwood. Yeah, kind of like became one of my favorites. But I'll also do a gray mix, so then we are kind of on the same. Yeah, so then I'm putting here. Yes, so I have this really grayish and again somewhere a little pile of black, and then slowly mixing into white. Yeah, so also maybe take a look, maybe a tiny bit of blue. Why not? So it's not too kind of grayish. A bit of blue can also give a nice touch. Yeah, but then of course all those are here, and now I've mixed almost as this of mine. This Wedgwood that is kind of this beautifully nice gray. Yeah, so here what I did, I had white, tiny bit of black, so it became gray, and then I was adding a little bit of this sky blue, and then it feels nice. Yeah. And then we remember the story about light and shadow. So here it's just kind of remembering or choosing, yeah, let's say, shall light be from left or right side? So in my composition, we say this opening, I said, and the bird looking this direction. So let's say I will choose then light coming from the right side. So like the birds are looking towards the sun. So it means all my trees, they'll be darker on the left side. Yeah, and And so, for example, depending also how grayish you did your mix, yeah, because we can have lighter grayish, darker. Then if it's darker, you can start, let's say not the whole tree, but just the this left side, the one we decided that is gonna be the shadow. And then also, for example, not everywhere, but like some strokes, because then we go in and add a little bit more either like, let's say, lighter grayish, and then yeah, but now of course just with the brush and kind of giving shape already to the trees. And talking about the branches that are coming out of the tree, then those, of course, they will have like the part under the branch, it will be darker, yeah, because the sun is on top. So then it's also, you can like put maybe a line that is half branch is dark gray, and later we're gonna put there a bit also either lighter gray or I mean not necessarily white, but yes, so this is like our first step, still defining. Then you can see if you want a bit more trees, maybe not. Yeah, and then just kind of, you can wash a bit your brush, because still it's gray. And then I don't know, maybe just add a bit of white on it. We just have a bit more lighter mix, and then kind of play a bit more in between. So just creating this lighter side of grayish. Yeah. Yeah, and of course going on top of the other, I mean, like, so if I did one gray first and now I'm doing a second grade, I'm going a bit more up, like covering the first gray. So it's not just like half and half vertical, yeah, so it's more and the next step with the trees will be then whiter stripes. And yeah, I think first we're gonna do the pure white, and then later we're gonna do the black ones, because blacks, yeah, to be careful with them. Yeah, but black, of course, we need, otherwise we don't have this contrast. And let's see. Yeah, so for example, if you do the trees, also to give it a bit time to rest, Yeah, so I mean, acrylics drying fast, but still you can maybe also set a base base color for the birdies. And again, then the one I found on the internet, they're pretty much so colorful. Yes, it's this emerald, this blue greenish for the belly, and brownish red for the back, and the yellow part. So you can, of course, also change. I mean, maybe then we will get reclaimed that such birds don't exist, but as it's art, you can always say it represents like me and my partner. So we see us in this color. Yeah, so also because like if you feel they're too strong, yeah, so here I'll put this picture. And then yes, and I've suggested it, and now I'm thinking myself, what colors would I change and choose? Then it's a good way to do as I usually do. If I'm still not sure about colors, then I go with the color I'm sure, and then on the process I'll figure out. I will go by putting a bit of yellow, so I like this part on them. I did a little mistake of not lightening up my pencil sketch. No one reminded me. But okay, then just putting a bit thicker layer to cover the pencil. And so the yellow for on this part of the heads is good because yeah, it kind of comes together a bit with our springy feeling. So next. Okay, let's experiment still with this emerald, but maybe adding a bit, like just not putting it so bright, maybe putting it a bit more pale. And then again, so be careful. So the picture we found is a reference for the birdies. Here the light is coming from the left side. So the left side of their bellies is lighter. And then as we've decided, we're gonna have the opposite. So it means that, let's say even like I should go with darker for the left side. Yeah, the same for the head and the same for, so key, so bluish. And so just more white. And again, of course, like let's say, so with the birdies, it's also like maybe sitting now some base color that later, of course, can be a bit adjusted to. Yeah, I think so. I think I will be making my birds a bit more pale later, but also like let us put the base colors for birdies, then go for the trees and do all these white and black story, because this also can be pretty much active. And then in this case, maybe even bright part birdies will look good. So, yeah. And don't rush to do all these black areas of eyes and and also, for example, you can, if you have like some watery color, let's say now I'm using some of this, it's copper, but I just took it instead of brown. You can also use this brownish to do the black areas of birds. Yeah, so then later you will actually, and it will make you add less black, and then it will look, I think, nicer also. Yeah, black is always this tricky color. Yeah, unless you know what you're doing and using on the purpose, like if your aim is to create some dramatic or something, but it's always better to use dark blue, purple, something, you know. Yeah, so saying that, I might actually do so. I'll try to find blue. And yeah, then how you work with all those tiny areas. So of course the size of brush, but then it's also, it's a bit more something like tapping, you know, so not as much as moving your brush, but more, yeah, and then like remove the excess of paint from your brush if you feel, you know, it's getting like a bit too over. So okay, I took dark blue with tiny bit of black, and again I'll do it now just kind of pre-drawing, and I'm constantly wiping out my black, my dark blue black from the brush, so then when I'm like doing painting, tapping, then it's not too overwhelming, you know? Yeah, because then it's also, if you put it in too much, then you just clean your brush to the paper towel, and then you can, with clean the brush, you can even like smoothen out a bit the quantity of paint you have on yeah, on paper canvas, and then it's so the eye, we're gonna do it also a bit maybe towards the end. Yeah, so of course we want some kind of some highlight there, so it looks as the and then also avoid, you know, like if you're putting this dark area for the eye, so then you need to connect it a bit with this brown. Yeah, so it's not sitting as one separate dark spot. Yes, it means your brown, the area of brown head around, you need to make a bit also darker, so to show this transition. Okay, I think I already a bit exaggerated with the sketchy part for the birds, almost painting them ready, but it's better to go for birches. Yeah, because birches also can be tricky, and it's like, so imagine if you're doing a bigger painting, then it's sometimes safer to go with something you're not sure yet how it's gonna come out, rather than doing perfectly your birdies and then didn't work the other story. But as artists, nothing we can't say. Yeah, and then of course, so to show this, like their stomach, so one part lighter, one part darker. Yeah, it's something you kind of go back and forth. Yeah? So it's hard to do with one stroke. And also you kind of just play again a bit, maybe for a bit lighter belly on one side, a bit darker on the other. Let it rest, and then come back again. Okay, very bright birdies. So it means we need to make active also our other story. This will be happy paint. Okay, rather bit messing here around. So we'll rest. I know that palette knife is kind of maybe not always the favorite thing. So for example, if you feel unsure, you can also first try on some separate piece of paper. And but what I suggest that also first I would start with white, and then you can move those birch strokes with white, because then it's easy. If they're too much, we cover them with the and can be both. Let's say I take brush, check it twice so it's clean, and then I take some white, and then I start from my lighter side of the trees, and I just seed some strokes, and then I can just kind of squeeze them, move them a bit with my palette knife. Yeah. Yes, because still with palette knife, there's something that's so cool that not always you can get it with a brush. Or you can just fill up also straight with palette knife, a bit of white, and then just kind of do a bit of those strokes. Yeah, and then of course, when it's like you have fresh your paint there, then it's kind of giving you a thick palette knife stroke, but then keep on using it, because then you will be getting, yeah, just the same stories with dry brush technique. You continue moving it, and then you get just kind of half strokes and something. Yeah, so play around also to make a bit contrasty, because like now with the gray, our trees, they don't really look, as main heroes or so. And of course here one can play a bit like how abstract, so maybe the birdies are a bit more realistic. Although later we can also make our birdies also a bit more not so strict, but I'll show you later how you just take say the color of bellies and then move a bit with it, so there is some extra strokes around of this color, and then it looks maybe not so, yeah. And then of course move white, not only I mainly do it from right side, but also a little bit from left to right as well, of course. I mean, once you get hand on it, then I find it much more easier. A few strokes and come on, all trees are ready. And this thing is that with brush, yeah, it's the same one with the stars, and we use this splashing technique. It's easy and it looks much more natural rather than we do it with the hand, because then our brain somehow doesn't let us. So use those accidents. If it's too much, now you can go back to gray. Let's say if you have still some left on there, and go a bit also a bit maybe. Yeah, and try. Then you can do also maybe a bit of tapping with the palette knife. Yeah, so you can also create some nice silhouettes. Yeah, so it's good now we do this practice with gray and white. Yeah, because later with black, then it's already a bit more, one should be a bit more careful. Yeah, because black is very strong. And yeah, one can actually also take just a small brush and first do some small strokes of black. So just also kind of you get used to it. That's to the how much black you want there to be. And of course, help yourself with the brush, and Yeah, if there are some areas you can't really get in with the palette knife. And yeah, and then again, also don't exaggerate, let it rest a bit. And maybe also changing it now to brush, do a bit some precisement for branches, let's say. Yeah. Yeah, maybe you find it's easier to do those strokes in a dry brush technique. Yeah, by can also work. All right, now I will move to black. And what I will do, I will first take small brush, yeah, and then just kind of, yeah. You can also, let's say, maybe create first just dark gray. So don't take it maybe totally pure black. And yeah, I can also maybe, for example, you know, this area under the branches that is usually also dark. So maybe we can start tapping a bit there. See how it all feels, looks like. Maybe try to draw somewhere thin line. See how thin it goes. Yeah, and then when I'm already a bit more confident with what's getting there, then I can also maybe try a bit of. Yeah. And also no worries, like let's say if now you do a bit too much black, then later it's easy with the same palette knife thing, you just go again with white and then they will become like whiter branches. Yeah? Like for example, now I still feel my maybe are too grayish, so maybe a bit more on white actually would be nicer. So they're like okay, now I've experimented. I have like put my palette knife a bit into the water. So I thought, okay, maybe it's gonna help me like smoothen, but it's, you know, for me it didn't work well. It's kind of doesn't leave those nice strokes then, and it just kind of makes a bit all dirty. Yeah. But if you decided to just go with the brush, painting those like things, then again, remember to do them, yeah, different again, somewhere. Yeah, where you have branches, just with the brush, you can do a little bit those, maybe like the circles. Yeah. And then in this case, I also like working, let's say I have parallel brush for white and I have, yeah, for gray, for black. So I don't change them all the time, but I take them accordingly, the one I need at the moment. Yeah, so of course, in the end, the lighter brush anyway always gets soon very dirty, but and then also remember, of course, go a bit more calmer on those trees that you've decided gonna be a bit in the background. Yeah, so then maybe just differentiate a bit instead of black, then you go with this dark grayish. Yeah, and really no worries if it's like, oh, maybe it's getting too dark, too black. Yeah, then later with those whiter strokes, it might look in the end like pretty much cooler. Yeah, and then from time to time, I kind of take out some new dry clean brushes. So they maybe help me to clean up if I have somewhere like a bit too dark, a bit too messy. Then yeah, and of course also remember to change, so it's not like one side is only gray and one side is only white, but go and play a bit back and forth. And, so yeah, so in the end, find out which technique, like which works for you better. So for example, setting some black parts with the brush, and then I go with my palette knife a little bit to my grayish, so it just has something to move on, and then I move those my black stripes. Or maybe straight away setting some black on the palette knife and moving around. Or then just parallel take white brush, set whiter spots, and then you can parallel move palette knife with those. And the white heart on the tree. So in the end, it's kind of, you just make a bit more dark grayish around it, but not with the line, but more like just putting the, like a surface of like just coloring part of the tree around heart, like one side a bit just goes grayish, somewhere a bit more dark grayish. So in the end, it's not outline, but just the areas. And then I think it will give a bit more natural feeling to this story. I think palette knife is a little bit maybe like watercolors when we sometimes maybe need to get used to the accidents. So palette knife is a bit the same, just like if you learn how to enjoy the accidents, then and then remember, like when doing the branches, and also not necessary it has to be like one line, kind of just split it. Yeah, so somewhere there is line, somewhere there is no line, so it feels more airy, more yeah, and again overlapping. Let some small branches go on top of the other three, so then it's they're not all too separate, so they're kind of intervening one with another. Yeah, and of course for palette knife we need more paint, so it's kind of putting a bit more. not to forget to put the legs of birdies. It also looks a bit more real and and then take a look, like evaluate a bit your birches. If you have the feeling you want them a bit more like whiter, lighter, then just go and take clean palette knife, clean white paint, and go a bit over. Yeah, and then again, if you get tired of doing birches, we can rest a bit. So I had the plan also putting those leaves. I think they will make a bit more also nicer. Yeah, and then doesn't have to be everywhere. Maybe just around or. But those leaves, it's already also kind of try to decide. Maybe if it's already too much with all the birch stuff, like the painting is already too active. Yeah, or again, if you are not sure, then it's always good just to try outside on some paper. You know how those spots look like. I think I will go with them, but first I will do a little bit more so with the birdies. So now they like the birches, they're all very this a bit like going more like half abstracty. So yeah, there. So I will do birdies also a bit more, not so firm. So what I do, I clean my palette knife. And that's the thing I like about palette knife, so quickly, easy to clean. And then I'll do a bit the same. So let's say I take the color I used for the belly. I take it on palette knife, and I can do those like strokes. So it doesn't matter that it goes a bit maybe like on top of the tree or a bit out of the. You can. Yeah, and then also maybe a bit. Yeah, since you already like we practiced kind of a lot with palette knife and trees, now you might feel also more confident with those kind of strokes. Also maybe where the wings are. I heard my phone moving and I was like, could be Darren, but it is Darren so quickly. Ooh, nice. Really like your background, yeah. So starting from first, so it's warmy green, like green, but no warm. I'd say maybe like your trees could be not necessarily the birch trees, yeah. Like I think, but it's also fine. They can stay like as if it's yeah. I mean, I like them. I wouldn't go maybe now because I see them a bit more browny. And then it's cool. They can be just as usual trees. And then, but then you, of course, keep in mind the leaves that you're making. So maybe then instead of those, like the shape that has birch trees, you make. I also like how actually like the border looks on yours, yeah. So it's you didn't went with the straight tape, but it's kind of nice. So it gives a wide border, but still it's kind of open, yeah, these uneven parts. On your side, maybe I would work a bit more delicate for the birdies. So let's say for the eyes, yeah. Also, like try maybe connect a bit this red part of head with black part of yeah. So now it looks like they both have like Zorro mask, but in the end, it actually they look fun and sweet. So again, if your purpose is to make them realistic, then just try to have here a bit like dark brown here at the bottom where the black meets red, yeah. So let's say upper part of head can stay red, and here can be just this dark brownish. And yeah, but in some way they look stylish with the way the heads are. So again, up to you. And I liked how you practiced a bit those leaves. So maybe I would go with a bit more of those leaves. And then you can maybe just also take this green and maybe even the same green, but just with a bit more white. So make it pale, and then do a bit in between so that it's more like far away. Because you did nice, actually. You can feel as if there are more trees behind with those green stripes. So maybe also like pale green leaves behind and this darker. They can be also just maybe on top, on upper part. It doesn't have to be all over. Wow. And Mel one's also ready. Wow, such an artworks today. No, okay, so Mel's ones, like it's bird. I find them more, yeah, like because then you used a bit more of these contrasty white and black and okay, nice solution also for the leaves, so they go more like those bundles. Look sweet. Yeah. And yeah, the eyes. I also like, for example, Mel's. She has a bit different. The bigger bird a bit different, like darker blue. The small bird a bit more greenish. So it's actually nice. I feel like. I think I'll also copy this from Mel to correct on my birdies. And then the same story a bit on the eyes. If they look interesting, I mean, yeah, you know, like the painting doesn't always have to be that realistic. So I like those Zorro masks you got, guys. You know, those stripes. In Mel's one, maybe like the proportion for the eye. Yeah, maybe it's a bit too big, but then again, kind of it doesn't look bad. Yeah, so again, for a realistic story, I'd go a bit more smaller and also maybe a bit not the complete white circle around black, but maybe somewhere a bit more grayish, light grayish, and somewhere a bit this light. Yeah, so then also looks but nice, and also nice background for Mel, like lighter, and it feels like springy, summery. Yeah, I think I'm also happy we went with a bit more. Wow, you're like rocket painters. I'm yeah, like I'm not that but sweet. I think that could be nice. I'm gonna have Karen, what's your feelings up to now?
I'm just doing my background. I've gone a bit off-piste. Might not look a bit like yours.
I'm excited to see.
Might have to wait a while before you see it.
No problem. I'm a patient person.
That's good. That's very good.
Good. Yeah, so I saw Mel's Darren's. I'm also gonna do a bit of eye. But also like if we look at this realistic photograph of the birdies, then actually it's like the eyes there. It's just something this brownie in there and very little spot of white. It just gives this glimpse. So I like the idea of Mel. I'm also gonna change a bit. One would be a bit more bluish, and the one on the left a bit more. And yes, I think still going with leaves is good because otherwise the birds feel like kind of a bit out of the story. Like they're too bright. Okay, and the leaves, of course, then again, yeah. Here it's already, if you like and feel comfortable with palette knife, yeah, like those ones here on my example, I did with palette knife. Yeah, and then just kind of and just start sitting some. And then just go picking different colors. And then you can put yeah, I think with leaves is definitely better. Yeah, but then also don't forget to mix a bit darker. I mean, if those birch ones, but also for others, yeah, the trees. Yeah, and no worries, make them some of them like just in the air. And it's now we're doing those leaves more like for the feeling and yeah. And then then here, if you're doing them, actually doesn't matter, both with brush or palette knife, remember time to time change the position of your hand, because then you will be getting different strokes. Otherwise, you will get all the leaves one direction. So then it's easy way to kind of avoid it. You just kind of maybe like put your hand from up and then your stroke is going the other way. Nice. I like that we went for spring. Yeah. And then also a bit bigger, a bit smaller, those leaves. Some are a bit more, some are a bit less. Yeah, so on purpose, we're making this. Yeah, and then also think, do you want the leaves only on top or also around, like at the bottom? I think I'll put also the bottom, but just not so much. Yeah, so it's just kind of. Yeah, and then check how your heart, how visible is it? Yeah, is it like needs some touch up? Like it can be both, maybe making it more calm, so not so kind of, you know, like for those who notice. And of course, especially like if you have it on canvas, yeah, you can let it rest, and then you can like come back and do something more and a bit more precise.
Right. Well, I think we're finished here, Evie. So we're going to call it quits there. So hopefully see you guys next week.
Yeah. Well, and we see next week. Send us finals. Yeah. So just
Yep. Actually,
cool.
I can do that now, actually, because I've got them both together there. So I'll send that through now.
Cool. Thanks, Dara. Thanks, well, for joining and celebrating almost 2 years, guys.
Yeah.
Incredible. And of course, we're celebrating it with birds. I mean,
So I've just sent ours both together. So Mel's is on top, mine's on the bottom.
yeah. Zing. Yay. A good one. I think can definitely go somewhere, take some place in the house or yeah. I mean, also, for example, Mel can also later work maybe a bit, you know, when it's like those stripes of brushes. Yeah, maybe some here at the bottom, just make a bit more smoother. Like this upper one I really like because it has this kind of light feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, okay. Your one's very nice, Darren, also.
Thank you.
Yay.
Right. See you all next week.
See you next
See you
week.
soon.
Bye, Darren. Bye,
Take care.
Mel.
Bye, then.
So, I'm still here.
You're still here. I'm still here. Let me
We are
know.
not as fast as
No.
So a little, maybe a little spoiler for next week. I had another person who wrote and asked if we can do the Frida Kahlo.
Oh yeah.
I mean, could definitely be interesting. Then I thought that maybe we can do Frida Kahlo and then we just change it with the oil pastel, so we can kind of.
I can't make next Saturday, I'm afraid. I am on a family trip to Exeter.
Okay, then good you told me. Then yeah, I see. Because as I understand, you want to practice a bit more this oil pastels and.
I'll give you a flash.
Oh.
I told you I'd gone off piste.
It's kind of completely different.
I told you it was completely different. I was just, it was the picture Mel sent, wasn't it? That was the
yes,
mix of the blue. And I just wanted to know whether I could get that really gradual blending with oil pastels. So most of my afternoon has been spent just blending oil pastels.
Why not? Very meditative.
It was. Now, of course, I'm trying to keep my hand off while I scratch back.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, I've looked, but then I thought I don't want to go for night. Since I thought,
Yeah, I have no objection to. I mean, I think what you've done is great, and I will quite like to come back at some point and watch the video and maybe give it a go myself, particularly the trees.
it's fun.
Yeah. But I just wanted to try this.
Sure.
So, in the way that I have of just doing things I want to do.
Totally kind of the way it should be. Yes.
On the other hand, if I hadn't come along to the group and kind of sat with you all, I would never have done it because it's very much not really my sort of thing. It's a bit twee.
Yeah. But it's good to do. Yeah, the other stuff.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, as an exercise in blending oil pastels, it's really, really been very educational about what works and what doesn't.
Nice. Okay, what I will do on mine, I will take the tape off, then stop recordings, and then one can rest. But still, maybe this is. I'm still not decided if the birds are too bright, kind of a bit.
No, I think they're really cute. I like the trees. I think I prefer the colder colours though, but maybe that's just me. Or maybe it's because in the colder colours it's less finished. Maybe it's that less finishedness that I like.
Here feels like a foggy, some mystery, some mystery.
Yeah. I definitely think you should finish the colder one.
Okay.
I mean, I like the other one, but
Yeah.
I guess again, and I don't mean to be rude, but I think it's a bit twee.
I'm not really sure what the word means, but I can guess.
Twee is kind of cute in a slightly sickly way. That sounds really horrible when you're said like that. But that's that's me, and I'm not really a twee sort of person, and I don't really do twee stuff.
I know.
Got to flex occasionally, haven't you?
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Now I can be like Claude Monet doing the same stuff in different atmosphere: night, day, winter, spring.
Yeah, do the 4 seasons.
Oh. Yeah, but I think it's if I do something with my birdies, then that might because I feel my birdies, they get a bit too I don't know how, like the trees and the leaves are messy, but the birdies ended up a bit too that kind of.
And it is really pretty. It's very commercial, but you'd sell it.
Yes, I think selling would be easier on if I ever end up arranging all this stuff for like publishing and selling.
Do you never just stick stuff on Etsy and see what happens?
Yeah, I think I did a go with Etsy, and then it also kind of took a bit of my patience time. I mean, one really needs to be there, like, I don't know, either persistent or something. I don't know, but there are some, I don't know, algorithms, tricks.
To make your work more prominent.
Yeah, something like this. I mean, or but of course, one should like dedicate some time to it, and then just kind of, so not to expect, of course, it to work straight away, but it's just there, and like,
Yeah.
in some moment it will shoot or but
I do know what you mean, because people often with not with my paintings, but with my craft stuff, people often say to me, "Oh, you should sell it. You should sell it." And I'm just like, yeah, but by the time you go to all the effort, and people don't really want to pay for it.
yeah.
Not enough to cover your time and materials.
Exactly. Yeah, somehow but I believe there can be this balance,
Yeah.
But yeah, it just takes time, and kind of you have to be determined and just create your routine that maybe doesn't take too much
Yeah.
time, and then you choose like one thing. Yeah, if it's Etsy, then you just like go there and
Yeah.
I mean, I always think, like in some future, I'll I don't know, have half year off, and but then actually get those half year offs, and I still don't manage to finish this. Like, then you get just involved in other stuff, and yeah. Okay, start the recording. Yeah, now I'm motivated to finish the birdies, the blue ones.